It's the Acting Income Podcast with Ben Hauck, Episode 1, How I Make an Income as an Actor, and What Inspired This Podcast.
It's the Acting Income Podcast with Ben Hauck. Turn your passion into income, Ben will show you how. With all the resources that you need to make it as an actor in an expensive city. To stay balanced and make money, you really can't go wrong with actingincome.com.
Hi, my name is Ben, and I'm an actor. Hi, I'm Ben. I'm Ben Hauck. I'm an actor. And I want to tell you a little bit about how I make an income as an actor and what inspired this podcast. So, how am I an actor? I earned my Bachelor of Fine Arts in acting from Otterbein College, now Otterbein University, back in 1998. I moved to New York City in 1999 to pursue an acting career. I had pretty good luck within the first year getting into Actors Equity Association and the Screen Actors Guild in roughly the same month. I ended up in a business theater contract with that was equity, or was made equity, I should say. And then I also landed a role on Law and Order. I'm one of the Law and Order actors. That got me into the Screen Actors Guild and got me into the Actors Equity Association. It was pretty awesome to have that happen in the first year. I was confronted very soon after my Law and Order episode aired that I was not suddenly recognized on the subway, which was a funny reality I thought might be true. And that actually I didn't know what was going to be coming up after a series of a lot of success, quick success. So if I remember correctly, I may misremember. I had a day job that I was working for a while, and then I realized I gotta see what I can do. So I somehow ended up doing background work. This was probably the year 2000. I ended up doing background work here or there. Now, I did background work only every once in a while from 2000 up until 2009. Back in 2009, I didn't have to work for a while, and then, or back in 2008, I didn't have to work for a while, and then suddenly 2009 came, I was like, I need to start working again. So I thought I was faced with a choice. Do I do temp work, or do I maybe see if I can make money as a background actor? So I thought, well, temp work was working at, an office job is what temp work meant for me. That would have been great, but I thought, well, let's put my union card to work. Let me see what I can do as far as making money that way. So, in 2009, things were much different than what I had been, what I experienced before. Now casting was done online. There was a new company I wasn't aware of called Central Casting. I got signed up with Central Casting. I had some other past relationships with other casting offices, and got set up with this whole new online world and an iPhone and the ability to submit myself for work online. And wouldn't you know it, within about 3 months, I was working pretty regularly as doing background work. And by regularly, I mean, I don't know, at that time it might have been 3 days a week, but I lucked out with a stand-in job. I ended up getting the job as a stand-in for Jason Bateman on a film that was eventually called The Switch, and that changed a lot of things for me. And then pretty much since then, I've been able to work pretty regularly. That experience gave me a lot of stand-in experience, and I'd also worked background with a pretty accessible look. I'm about 6 foot tall, Caucasian, brown hair. That look was represented a lot in different TV shows and films, so I was able to plug in and get enough work. So that was 2009 that I started to do that pretty regularly, in 2010, 2011, 2012, all the way up to 2015, which is today, 2015. In that experience, I've been able to earn a nice income as an actor. I was able to get health insurance each year, qualify for health insurance, qualify for pension credits, vetted in 5 years with a SAG pension, with the SAG pension plan, or whatever the terminology is, and feel pretty good about myself. So that's where I was until I read this little passage. This little passage, which is in the 2005 SAG Basic Agreement, which you'll find on the sagaftra.org website. This is on page 1. And it's just going to read this. It's a short little paragraph. It says, the union is recognized by producer as the exclusive collective bargaining agent for performers in the production of motion pictures in the motion picture industry within the territorial limits of the United States of America. And now it goes on to define the term performer. The term performer means those persons covered by the terms of this agreement. It includes performers, professional singers, stunt performers, airplane and helicopter pilots, dancers covered under Schedule J of this agreement, stunt coordinators, puppeteers, and body doubles. And then the last sentence of this paragraph is, background actors are not considered performers. Now, that passage was an insult. I'd had a number of years working as a background actor, and I knew that there was some serious acting that goes into that. Sometimes it's not actually very easy to do background acting. It may sound a little silly to do this, but you don't really get trained in background acting when you're in college. You're not forced to a situation where you have an actor who can speak and is maybe speaking lines to you, and you're supposed to react in a way without dialogue when naturally you would react in dialogue. You don't get that kind of training usually. It's going to be kind of hard, at least I found it to be the case. It can be kind of hard sometimes to respond without dialogue when your character probably would respond with dialogue. I found it also insulting too because I had camera setups set around me. I remember one episode of 30 Rock, moment I'm really proud of, a little featured role with Tina Fey. There was a camera set up on Tina Fey, camera set up on me. There's some acting that goes involved in there. Didn't have a line. Felt really proud of it. There was a principal actor cast that day who had a laugh. He was a Broadway actor, if I'm not mistaken. He didn't have a line either, but he had a laugh. There was some serious acting that goes on there too. As a stand-in, you might not be acting on camera, but you may have to deliver lines. You may have to go through blocking. And not everyone, it sounds simple, but not everyone's very capable of doing that. I've had some stand-in experience too, where I'm standing on the TV show Last Week Tonight and have to do the full rehearsal of John Oliver's show with the teleprompter, with graphics all around, and basically the center of the dress rehearsal. I have to do that. That requires some acting experience. So granted, that's a different contract than this contract, but whatever the case is, my union and the producer conglomerate is considering me essentially a non-performer when I'm doing background work, doing stand-in work. Now, I'm not so insulted that I'm going to cry or anything. When I saw that, I was insulted. When I saw that definition, I was insulted that background actors are not performers on page 1 of the 2005 SAG Basic Agreement. How do I put it into words? I was inspired anew with focus about what I am supposed to be doing. I told you I moved to New York City in 1999. I didn't move to the city to be a stand-in. I didn't move to the city to be a background actor. I came here to be an actor. And by that, per the union wording, I came here to be a performer with lines. Now, granted, I didn't come here to be a stunt performer. I didn't come here to be an airplane helicopter pilot or a dancer. Those are all considered performers under this dialogue. I came here basically to speak on camera. When I moved here, I wanted to do stage too. I don't rule that out, but I don't put the focus on that. I wanted to be performing at a higher level. So I guess you could say that my aim is more than background work and more than stand-in work. I guess the insult also came because I regarded myself as a working actor, because I was getting union work as an actor. I just wasn't recognized as a performer. So the insulting definition of being called a non-performer put new emphasis on what I was here to do. I am here to generate an income as an actor, as a performer. And usually that performer means someone with lines. Now, I am not generating most of my income as a performer. Most of my income comes from non-performer income. In 2014, I did have some performer income. Had a co-starring role on an NBC show called State of Affairs. And then the ID channel, I had a what's usually called an under 5, 2 union jobs, performer income. Gave me a nice chunk of money, but most of my income came from stand-in work, standing in on a few films, some television as well. And I have to consider background work and stand-in work as non-performer income now, based on this wording. I don't have to. I also have some other forms of non-performer income. If you want to consider the on-camera stuff or the behind the scenes work as non-performer income, then it's grouped together essentially with waiting tables or doing temp work or walking dogs or doing odd jobs. That's all considered non-performer income. And I have some other ways that I make non-performer income. I make it through royalties. I have a book out. It's called Long-Form Improv, The Complete Guide to Creating Characters, Sustaining Scenes, and Performing Extraordinary Heralds, from which I earn some royalty income. And I also make money online through some websites that I run. The interesting that covers most of the main ways that I currently make an income in 2015. Now, my lifestyle, most of my income, as I said, came from stand-in work and background work. And let's just stand-in work, because that's mostly what it was. That kind of work is exhausting, especially if you luck out with a certain kind of job that works 4 or 5 days a week. With that kind of work, you may or may not know, you could be on set for 12, 13, 14 hours. Add an hour commute each way, depending on where you live and where you're going, and you're struggling to get 8 hours of sleep. If you do that 4 or 5 days a week, you're depleted by the end. Also, with this kind of work, it's not like you can have a conflict in the middle of the day. They can just leave the work. You're basically all or nothing for that day. If you want to take stand-in work, you're fully available that day, or you're not fully available. And if you're not fully available, you probably aren't taking it. What that means is when I'm taking stand-in work or when I'm taking background work, it's so demanding of my time that it's exceptionally hard to be able to audition for anything. Many people have probably been confronted about this when they've encountered stand-in work and background work. Maybe you yourself have encountered that too. It's really hard to audition. Not only are you too tired to try to even look for auditions, but you're also blocked out of time. Or if you do get an audition, that means you have to cancel out that day, or you can't work that day, so you can't earn an income that day. Or you may feel that you're jeopardizing your job if you cancel a day of stand-in work on a project to take an audition. You may fear that someone else will replace you, or maybe you're going to upset a casting director. It's so demanding of time that it was so demanding of my time that I realized I need to be able, if I really am pursuing performer income, that I need to be able to break this. I need to be able to find ways to open up my time. I can't just continually take stand-in work and background work. Now, granted, I can't just turn it down completely. I mean, I can. I could do that. I could do it. Let's say I don't want to. It's a great way, a great means for making my health insurance and earning pension credits. And granted, performer income, landing a great acting job could get me that too, but it's like I need to generate some other income too. So the bind was this, like, how do I break this acceptance of lots of stand-in work, but also be able to open up for auditions? In ways that I'm not going to cover right now, I was able to free up some ways to make myself a little bit more flexible to audition should an audition come up. But it also became a question of what are some other means that I could generate income so that I have more time. That maybe I don't have to work as much as a stand-in or background actor. Maybe I can work 2 days a week, still qualify for health and pension, and earn an income, but also earn income from other ways that are maybe more flexible. And that's about where this podcast idea comes from. This is the Acting Income Podcast, and it's about trying to make performer income. It talks about performer income, and it also talks about non-performer income. How do you make money in order to fund your career as an actor? What do you do to make it work? How do you survive? It's a juggling act, funding your career. You try to stay open for auditions. You try to get work. If you purely focus on auditions, you're going to drown with not having any money. But if you focus on just making money, you won't have any time for auditions. If you focus on either of those extremes, you're not balanced. You're going to probably suffer an emotional toll. You might start despairing, either financially or despairing for other reasons. So this podcast covers acting, it covers money, and it covers balance. It's going to cover things that touch on those topics too. That's what I aim to do. So through interviews, through my own experiences, I hope to bring that story of the actor trying to make an income and live and ultimately succeed. So I want to get into the nitty-gritty of what we're doing as actors. I want to ask you, what kind of jobs do you do on the side that are flexible and make it so your acting career can work? Do you go union? Do you go non-union? Do you go FICOR? Where did you come from to get here? What did you do? What steps did you take to move from your small town to the big city? What are some expenses that you do and how you deal with that? I want to cover all of these topics so that you can benefit, so that you can save money, that you can spend money wisely, and that you can survive at very least, but not just survive, hopefully prosper. But that's what it is about. So I hope you'll tune in on future episodes of the Acting Income Podcast with Ben Hauck and benefit from the insights I have. And lastly, I want to say that this is a community, or at least I see it as a community. So I hope you'll contribute your ideas and you'll send me an email, tweet at me, whatever you want to do, pitch your own ideas to me. If you have a great story, an interesting story, or if you have something that could benefit others in terms of surviving and making it as an actor, maybe you do an odd job that other people that fits in really well with an actor's career that other people don't know about, get in touch with me. And that's all for this episode. The show notes for this episode are available at actingincome.com/episode1. You can find Acting Income on Facebook and on Twitter. If you'd like to sponsor an episode, check out actingincome.com/advertise. I'm Ben Hauck. Thanks. See you on the next episode. And for more information, as always, check out actingincome.com.